Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I am your host, the fellow KGB, and tonight we are joined by Jesse, the fellow JGM. We're going to be talking men's bracket, NCAA Bracket Pool March Madness. We're here. We're going to fill out a bracket live. We're using ESPN, but we'll get into that in a sec. Jesse, man, how's it going? Good to see you.
Hey, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Yeah, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. I keep forgetting that it's St. Patrick's Day. It's weird with it being on a Wednesday night. Usually when it's on a weekend, it's a little bit more memorable.
Sure. Not memorable. We celebrated it this last weekend, so.
Okay, you get 2 weekends maybe if you'd like. But yeah, man, I don't know. You said you filled out a handful of brackets. I've only technically filled out maybe 1.5, 2 brackets total. I've just been kind of doing more research and just listening and just absorbing information. You found us a really awesome tool, but how is like the overall bracket filling out process been for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, it always starts out clunky. You know, you take a first peek and you're just trying to do a run through. You get excited about certain teams, and then you see where they fall, and you're like, maybe I'm not so excited. So definitely those like early feelings, you can't hold strong on those early feelings, because if they get a bad draw, you're kind of SOL. I mean, we can talk about some of our favorite teams and where they got stuck, but you just kind of dissect it as it goes along. This year's especially weird. We've already gotten news that certain players are going to be missing because of COVID. We just found out that Oklahoma had a player test positive today. So far, no games are canceled, but that's just one of those things where 2 days from now, what's going to happen?
And I was wondering, because, I mean, typically Thursday is the big first day of college basketball tournament, but they pushed it back a day. I was just wondering if that's so they could have flexibility to move things, back further into the week. They were just kind of reserving an extra day. So we'll see what happens with that. But I guess, I don't know, like how do you begin the process of filling out one of these brackets? For me, it's easy to just kind of move the 1 seeds and a couple 2s and things like that just to get the bracket started. But is there a specific, do you just top left? How do you begin to tackle this thing?
Yeah, I mean, it starts out region by region. I think for me, I just, here's the West. We have Gonzaga. I mean, right. Nobody's going to take Gonzaga to get upset. There's going to be like 2 people on the world doing that. You just work your way down. I think how I usually do it is that if I have a good feel for the game after kind of going through the research and looking at these PDF documents that people generate and create and all these, so much data that's out there. I mean, if you don't follow Reddit College Basketball, this guy every year puts out a guide, and it covers everything. I mean, it covers everything you want. It covers teams' average rankings based on the aggregate of all like the power rankings for college basketball. It tells you like if a team got overranked or underranked. It's got trends, 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15 trends historically. It's got everything. And then it's got a team-by-team breakdown. What does the team do good? What does the team not do good? And that's really key for the later matchups when you're looking at, okay, so you took UC Santa Barbara to upset, then who they got in the next round. Do they match up well for that next matchup? So those are the kind of things you piece together. But I think initially you just kind of look at the games. You take the games that you feel confident in, and then you kind of look and you try and pick apart where the upsets are going to happen.
I really like this advanced metric systems. Just it's kind of a power rankings. They have a handful of different, people's rankings that they're using here. You got the BPI and a bunch of other ones that kind of just give you an average base ranking for these players and these teams. So we got power rankings. We got this S curve that you were talking about, where the expected seeding versus actual seeding. You can see teams that deserved a better seeding or worse seeding. So there's a lot to digest here, but I also like these individual stat leaders. Like we can just follow along here and see who some of the best players are at each position. And I don't know, we can kind of go from there, but I don't know. How should we start? Let's start filling out some of this bracket stuff. We can kind of get more into the weeds as we get deeper, but for sure we're going to move Gonzaga. I like to just pump in Gonzaga and Iowa. I don't think Grand Canyon's going to do it. It's kind of fun to look at some of the potentials here, but I think Iowa and Gonzaga both earned it this year. And then Oklahoma and Missouri. You mentioned who's the player that's going to be out for Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think it's one of their guards. I can pull that up.
It's not Austin Reeves, is it?
I don't think so, but it's definitely a starter. So I mean that makes you nervous.
Devion Harmon. He will miss the tournament.
Yep, garbage. Yep.
Devion
No one else so far. Harmon averaged 12.8 points, 3.4 rebounds. He played 31.8 minutes. Like he was a key clog. I mean, so that's one of those things that like now that that's happening. I mean, we already knew that Villanova's basically best player guard was out. So like you kind of can already bake that in. Kansas, they're missing one guy at least. Virginia, they think they're going to get everybody back, but they're not actually driving in until Friday. So like these are the 3 teams now that were kind of 4 teams, I should say, that were kind of, what do we do? Hey, that old lady has a name. Her name is Sister Jean. What's up, Aiden? How are you tonight? Yeah, you probably can't see it, but you know how we do. We're representing,
and we'll get there. We'll get there. We might have to flip a coin for that game. We'll see. Flip a coin. But I like Oklahoma in this one, but man, they're losing probably their second or third best player here, and I don't know. Like that doesn't feel good to me at all. Missouri's been in a tough conference all season, pretty decent against the top 25. They average basically the same amount of points per game. My head wants to go Missouri, but again, especially with 8 to 9 games, I don't expect them to beat a number 1 seed like Gonzaga. So this one, I wouldn't spend too much time on it. Should we just move Missouri ahead because of the COVID test for Oklahoma?
Yeah, I was definitely high on Oklahoma going into that one, but you weren't ever having them go past Zaga. So the more I'll hit. This is an interesting one for me.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with because they just got their coach back, right?
Yeah, they just got him back after dealing with some personal issues.
But UC Santa Barbara, man, they put up a good amount of points. They haven't played a tough schedule at all. 0 games against top 25. They're ranked 61st here. If we go check out the guide, where is UCSB? I'm not seeing it.
I think it's
St. Barbara, which is pretty high. Okay, so they rank 61st here, and we're looking at Creighton as 18.7. So the index and the rankings here are really favoring Creighton. Creighton kind of did struggle down the stretch here. I think they finished. It doesn't tell us their last 10 games, does it?
No, I don't think so. I think CBS is where you get like.
CBS does that, yeah. So I wish they could just all have the same information. Like ESPN does some things nice and CBS does some things nice themselves. But I'm kind of leaning Creighton here. It's a heavy ranking system. You see Santa Barbara hasn't had any competition really all season. Like even like their notable results, they have no opponents with a top 75 net. Is that the Gauchos? Santa Barbara Gauchos?
That's the Gauchos, and they were a team that I initially liked a lot, and then I kind of had to cool off on them just because when I dove into their stats, they're a solid team and they can score, but they don't put any fear into the hearts, especially this Creighton team. This Creighton team's pretty good overall. They're definitely down because they had a bad tournament. They lost to Georgetown, but Georgetown.
They got some 3-point shooters, though. They got, 2 of the best 3-point shooters in the country here. I'm looking for any other stats that stick out. But that's probably where they could, get a little run and go and get out of hand with that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm confident to take Creighton.
So this Virginia-Ohio game, this one's kind of interesting. I see a team that averages 80 points per game. And I think anything can be possible. All you need is that one guy to put up, 25, 30 points, and that could be the difference. Not a lot of games against top 25, BPI ranking of 98. 9-5 in the conference is a team that kind of struggled throughout the year. They lost to Illinois, though, by 2 points, beating Buffalo 2 out of 3 times, a win and loss against Toledo. Any thoughts here on Virginia? Does Ohio have a chance to pull the upset?
Look, I am taking Ohio on this one. And I'm not looking back. Their adjusted offensive efficiency is 29th in the nation. Virginia, you usually think of them as like a powerhouse defense. Well, they have a good defense. It's not as good. They're 33rd overall. And they're not going to be in Indianapolis until Friday. They're not practicing together as a team right now. So, I mean, I just think Ohio's going to come in with the energy, and Virginia, in my opinion, will be a little flat. They don't know the court. It's an upset for me. That's a 13-4 upset.
And I'm just looking at the Ohio ranking here. They rank, where was it? It's Oregon. Where did Ohio go? Ohio here at 83.3. Their highest ranking is 58 in the Kevin Paga KPI Sports ranking. So I don't know, a lot of different rankings here, but Virginia is a team, man. Like they haven't played in a while. Like they had the COVID thing in the ACC tournament. They don't play. They don't score a lot of points. They like to keep it, slow pace. So Ohio could be a team that could speed them up. But Virginia's got a veteran team, well coached. But again, they're kind of rusty. Like they haven't played in well over a week. When I first filled it out, I kind of liked the Ohio guess. But then are we really taking Creighton to move to the Sweet 16? Maybe that's something to think about too. But we'll put Ohio in there for now. Anything on USC in this play-in game? Wichita State and Drake.
I like Drake, and I think Drake should win that game. Wichita State's kind of a fraud team. They don't really belong in the tournament, in my opinion. That said, I still like USC overall. USC's a pretty good squad.
And USC, of course, Evan Mobley, potential second overall pick in the NBA draft. He's going to be a popular name. And I don't know, some of these exciting kids that are going to be going to the NBA. That's when it gets a little bit more fun. This is when it gets fun to actually key in and watch like what they're doing. So I don't mind moving USC ahead. Kansas, Eastern Washington. Do we need to spend much time on this one? Is this just too big for Eastern Washington to pull off?
Yeah, when I first made my bracket, I was taking Eastern Washington to win because I just don't like Kansas. Maybe I think that's part of my bias. Also, we should mention quick on Ohio, someone who could be a key person to watch in the tournament, Jalen Preston. Very impressive dude.
And
watch some highlights on Jalen Preston. I don't know if you're going to see him on any of these.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to see him on any of these leaderboards, but he's a fun dude to watch. My buddy went to Ohio, and he texted me earlier on. He's like, "Hey, Ohio makes it in the tournament. Watch out for this kid."
Okay.
So, got to watch out for. After that, Kansas is. They're a stalwart. They have a top 10 defense. And they're good enough offensively to take care of Eastern Washington.
And I watched a lot of the Big 12 tournament last week, and I'm kind of breaking ties in favor of the Big 12 right now. There's the competition of that all season was pretty good with Baylor's, Oklahoma State's, Kansas. I'm sure West Virginia. There's a couple others that I'm probably missing, but the Big 12. That might be one of as good as the Big Ten was too. I think the Big Ten and the Big 12 are the best two conferences. So I'm kind of breaking ties in favor of that. So we'll move Kansas here, and then you got let's see here, Virginia Commonwealth, and then you got Oregon here.
Mm-hmm.
This one's tough. 19-7 for VCU. Oregon is 20-6. A little bit different BPI.
This is a battle of good offense versus good defense. Oregon with the offense, VCU with the defense. On the opposite sides, they're both pretty bad on the opposite end of the court. Offensively, VCU just not adjusted offense, not great. When you look at who they played, it's not like they were playing very notable odds outside of Bonnie's. It's a tough one, though. The Pac-12 has not notoriously been good at b-ball. They're coming on, though.
I don't know. I'm gonna flip a quarter. I'll go with the 7th seed in this one.
I'm taking Oregon more often than not.
All right, so then we'll bump up. I'd like to just finish it, first round for that part, and we'll come back to that. So we'll move over to the Baylor. We're just gonna move Baylor. We're not gonna dilly-dally. We're not gonna waste too much time there. Wisconsin and North Carolina. What do we do here? Have you watched a lot of Wisconsin this year?
I've only watched I watched their last 3 games, and they just were not impressive at all. So I have a very convoluted sense of this team, but the ranking, the data and the analytics love this team. The data says this team should really been a 5 or a 6 seed. So that makes me it makes me pause and makes me go back and look. I mean, and actually got a impressive team, man. Yeah, so this is one of these. This is one of these notes from this. The key from the PDF here is teams that go 8 or higher places above where they should have been tend to do really well. Tend to win their matchup, at least their first matchup. So, I mean, I think I like Wisconsin. When I look at their adjusted numbers, Carolina is 53rd in offense, 15th in defense. Wisconsin's 32 in offense and 13th in defense. So they outhandle North Carolina on both ends of the court in that front. I don't know the teams well enough to know what's the matchup. I could look at the matchup, but right now, just looking at the data and the stats, Wisconsin is probably the team.
Wisconsin's a little bit more experienced. A couple, juniors, seniors on that team that contribute heavy. UNC's very young, so maybe there's some experience there that Wisconsin pays off. So we'll move Wisconsin on. This of all the first round games outside of Georgia Tech and Loyola, this game Villanova and Winthrop. This is probably the one that I keep going back and forth on. We know Villanova wasn't their best player. Let's see here. Who got hurt? They lost one of their best players, right?
Yeah, they lost their point guard, which is pretty much their only point guard.
Yep.
And Winthrop actually has really good guard play, so that's why people are kind of just like, yeah. I mean, look, the note says led by their unorthodox 6'7" point guard, and they have nobody to guard him. So
I love a good 12 versus 5 matchup upset. So I'm going Winthrop. You got any problems with Winthrop?
I got no problems because I think Purdue can handle both of those teams either way. So
you kind of cover your risk a little bit. So we'll move. I looked at Purdue too as being a team that could maybe give Baylor some trouble if they get one. So we'll move Purdue there. Texas Tech, Utah State. What you got? Anything interesting in this one?
I'm upset that Utah State got this draw because Utah State defensively, one of the best teams in the country. I mean, so that's pretty upsetting from that. I mean, the draws kind of suck. Utah State 8, adjusted defense 8th in the country. But then you go up against Texas Tech, which is like a Chris Beard buzzsaw. I mean, the guy just wins. When it comes tournament time, you can't bet against Chris Beard.
Mm-hmm. Utah State's got a 7-footer though.
Yeah, I mean,
weird things can happen, but I'm kind of breaking ties in favor of the Big 12 this year, where I don't know what to do. I liked Utah State. I noticed they're having a good season, but
I mean, Texas Tech, they're physical. They're more physical than Utah State. I can't not take Chris. This is one of those. That's like when you take Kansas, you're betting on the history and the coaching and just better athletes. Texas Tech actually has a good team, so.
So this one, I'm a Colgate believer. Arkansas had a really good year. There was no expectations for Arkansas. Colgate has really no competition against some top 25 teams. They're ranked pretty high though. They didn't play a full amount of games, but they average 86.3 points per game. I'm trying to look and see if there's any major scorers that we need to know on this one. I don't see one here. Thought they had one guy make the list here. I'm not seeing it.
Colgate is there he is.
They got a free throw percent shooter here, but I don't know. It's a fast-paced team, but so is Arkansas. Both these teams like to run and get up as many shot attempts as they can. And SEC basketball was kind of entertaining this year. 22-6 is pretty commendable. But do you have any interesting stats or data for Colgate and Arkansas?
I wanted to take Colgate because, like you said, the offense is impressive. But Arkansas plays the same basketball as them and is also a top 20 defense. So that just makes me think Arkansas is going to run through these guys. Colgate hasn't faced anybody. They've played 5 opponents all year, a total of 15 times. I can't not take Arkansas. I think the points you hit were.
All right, and then Florida, Virginia Tech. They did such a tough job with these 7 and 10s, putting major conference teams against each other.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Really only trying to get a point out of these games, but Florida, Virginia Tech, my head was leaning Florida at the time just because I thought the SEC, the upper echelon of the SEC, was a little bit stronger than the ACC. I've been breaking ties for Florida in this one, but you got any interesting notes for these two teams?
Yeah, I mean they grade out statistically pretty similar. I mean, I think Florida has a slight edge, so maybe that's you just take the slight edge. But yeah, I mean it's a close battle all around. There's really not one way or the other. I mean, I have no lean.
And Virginia Tech, it says they had 5 of their last 8 games canceled due to COVID, so maybe they haven't been playing a lot of games lately. Maybe we just roll with the team that's been playing a little bit more. And again, I'm fine with taking Florida, the 7th seed here, and then we'll move Ohio State here. So we got the first round done up here. Do you want to finish this and then move down, or what's the move?
Yeah, let's see what we can do here. Let's get this little mini top half bracket.
Let's just bump Gonzaga.
Yep,
that one's due. We did say we liked Purdue over Winthrop. That'll cover the 12 versus 5 hedge. Are we doing Wisconsin or over Baylor? Or are we just going to move Baylor in here?
Baylor, offensively so good, but they are not good defensively. And if Wisconsin has an efficient day, they can win this game. I don't think the 1 seeds are going to come out unscathed in this tournament. Baylor's just their guard play is just so good, though.
We'll move Baylor. I think I'm interested in this Purdue upset, though. We can get into that in a little bit.
Yeah,
we're gonna move Ohio State past Florida, no problem.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that would take Florida over Ohio State.
Also, do Iowa over Oregon.
I have one bracket with Oregon over Iowa.
Wow.
And,
great.
I know it's a little spicy. I just think Iowa sometimes is a little too streaky, and if weird things happen, man. But Iowa's the better team. I mean, the better team.
So I kind of like USC over Kansas here.
I like USC a lot. So I've been taking USC to the Sweet 16 in almost all my brackets because if I don't have Eastern Washington, well, I should probably switch a lot of those. But if I don't have Eastern Washington, Kansas, I think USC is a 6 seed. It's just they're in a good spot.
You look at these advanced metric rankings. Kansas is 16.2, but so is USC.
Yeah, USC on the S curve. Their error was 9, so their expected was 12, and their actual was 21.
And again, you said teams that are over 8 and up. Those teams typically are the ones that make a little noise the first weekend.
Yeah, they tend to perform well.
Okay.
Also, you have to remember, Kansas is not going to have at least one player. They're not going to have at least one starter. Maybe more, maybe less. No, definitely not less. But
okay, I like it. And then Creighton, Ohio. Are you interested in moving Ohio past Creighton?
I have been taking UCSB over Creighton, and then having Ohio beat them in a 12-13 matchup. Creighton with the coach just coming back. So if we're going to take, theoretically, if we're taking Ohio to beat Virginia, Creighton ranks worse in every category. In every, on adjusted offense and defense, Creighton is worse than Virginia. So I think Ohio's one of my they're one of my Cinderella teams to get to the Sweet 16.
So if we're going to do something here, Virginia would be the one that could be here. So it does make sense to pull Ohio at least that far.
I mean, the worst case, Gonzaga's going on, and I think that's just the way it is.
So we'll create some fun. If you're interested, it does make sense to just pull Virginia that far here. I think the one thing that we like right now is USC being a final team in this bracket over here in the West. And then I guess a couple hard games here, Texas Tech and Arkansas. Did anything stick out here? I kind of like Arkansas.
Yeah, this is a tough game for sure. I mean, they're basically offensively they're very similar teams, and defensively Arkansas has been solid. So I like Arkansas as well.
All right, we're gonna move Gonzaga, and everything else now is a thinker.
Yeah,
USC,
definitely.
Iowa. I don't mind taking USC here.
It's definitely like I said. I think Iowa slips up somewhere before they get to Gonzaga. It's just kind of been Iowa's season. I mean, play well, dud. Play well, dud. If Mobley gets hot, we've seen a lot of these teams get carried by teams that are just playing well. Player just steps up.
And the Trojans, I mean, that's one of the teams that can match up with Iowa's length and can create some problems. I'll move USC versus Gonzaga here. Purdue Baylor. Are we interested in Purdue here? I mean, I have a weird feeling about Baylor making a run.
I wouldn't be upset to see Purdue over Baylor here. Baylor is probably, man. I mean, it's the guard. I mean, it's the guard play. Purdue's a great team, and I think that they're like a team that like they get better, a lot better next year if they can keep their core. That's a tough one. If you're feeling Purdue, I'm open for it.
What about Ohio State and Arkansas? What do you feel like any of those teams would beat Purdue Baylor? I kind of like Ohio State over Arkansas. But it's close.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Ohio brings the offense. Arkansas brings the defense. Ohio State is 79th adjusted defensively, but they have the 4th offense. I mean, that's just one of those things where if Arkansas is not able to stop Ohio State's just they're gonna just.
All right, so we'll play with some safety here. We'll go Ohio State, and then maybe we get a little funky with Purdue here. We'll just kind of do something quick. We got maybe 15 minutes here, so we'll come back for these games and we'll see who we put in the Final Four. But now we move down to the East and the Midwest. We're just going to move Michigan. We're going to move Illinois. We're going to move Houston probably pretty far. And then I kind of like Alabama to represent the East. I think they could potentially take out Michigan at the top. Are there any other locks here in the East for you to just move without thinking?
I like UConn.
Wow. Yeah.
And I like Florida State. Those are the two.
Florida State was the same for me. I'm moving Texas right away. I think Texas could have problems, though, with BYU, man. That one makes me nervous. I think Michigan State or UCLA could be a problem for BYU.
For sure. St. Bonnie's, they're another one of these teams that on the S-curve that pops. Their expected S-curve was 29. Their actual was 39. And LSU, they've been playing well. Don't get me wrong.
What was the issue with LSU, though? I thought something happened. Didn't they lose a player? Maybe not. But they've beaten Arkansas 2 out of 3 times. They've beaten Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean,
Missouri.
To put in perspective, LSU, they're 5th adjusted offensively. They're 125th in defense.
Okay, so they need to be hitting their shots, averaging 82.1 points per game.
They're gonna have to. I mean, they're giving up 75 a game. Like, they're gonna have to show up. I think the Bonnies are like a well-rounded squad. They play pretty solid defense, and their offense is good enough.
Look at this. Yeah, they have them ranked right next to each other too, 26 and 27.5. Coin flip. St. Bonaventure is more fun to say. Should we go with St. Bonaventure?
The Bonnies.
Colorado, Georgetown. Are you a fan of Patrick Ewing? Anything with Colorado, Georgetown, real quick?
I mean, these 12-5s are always fun.
Georgetown's got some nice wins in here with these 2 against Creighton, 1 against Villanova. Seton Hall was okay for a little bit, and Xavier.
I would have loved if Colorado could have just gotten on the right hotness and beat Oregon State to win. I would have felt a lot better about Colorado because I kind of like Colorado. Like, if Colorado can get matched up against Michigan, I like Colorado in that matchup. But
they beat USC 3 times.
I know, it's like
I'm gonna go Colorado. I think a lot of people are gonna be buying into the Patrick Ewing hype.
I think so. I mean, they won. They won.
They had their run. Are you moving BYU past Michigan State or UCLA? I think Michigan State's going to beat UCLA, and then it just seems like anytime you bet against Izzo is not the way to go.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling about BYU, so I don't mind having a little fun and then moving an 11 past BYU. What do you think?
I'm on board with that.
Where does BYU ranks 22nd? It doesn't look like they rank all the play-in teams, do they, on this list?
Yeah, Michigan State's up there, 53, and UCLA is 45.
Well,
Michigan State's all about. I mean, this year their defense is where it's at. Their offense is like barely a top 100, but they bring the defense. And UCLA is kind of the opposite. Offensively, they're solid, but defensively pretty poor. So that's going to be an interesting game tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's BYU. I mean,
you move BYU?
No, we're going with. I like that. I like the 11.
All right, I'm going to move Alabama. I'm going to move Michigan right away. I think Michigan State or UCLA is going to be a problem for Texas, but I also like Florida State to beat Colorado. I don't know. Do you have any strong feelings there?
Yeah, I think Florida State. Honestly, either one of these teams I like over Michigan without livers.
Wow. Okay. I kind of like. I don't mind being ahead here and moving Florida State. Either way, I think I want to move Alabama against Florida State.
You got strong Alabama feelings, huh?
Maybe because we took a little risk here, we just moved Texas and just play it safe, get a 1, 2, 3, 4 in there, and we're getting a little funky with the 4 and the 2.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's some good risk here. And now we get to the Midwest, Loyola, Chicago, and Georgia Tech. Now, you went to Loyola, and I've been following Georgia Tech since as long as I can remember. They just went on an ACC championship run. Loyola's got some primetime players they've been there for a while, too. I think they've had a couple guys that were there when they went to the Final Four, correct?
Yeah.
So,
Krutwig, I mean,
break it down.
Everyone knows Krutwig. Everyone knows that this is Loyola's game. They stifle you on defense, and then they just get the ball in the Krutwig, and he facilitates, he scores, he rebounds. You know, the in and out, the pick and rolls, that's how Loyola wins, and it's been successful. They haven't been able to stop it. They score enough points. They're not amazing on offense, but they score enough points. They get enough. They win the turnover battle. And I mean, they're solid fundamental basketball, and they're well coached. So I think that's just kind of been their recipe for success these last couple of years.
So the way that I can see Georgia Tech winning is Moses Wright, ACC Player of the Year, and then defensive player Jose Alvarado. Did you watch the ACC championship versus Florida State? Georgia Tech forced 25 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, Florida State was very sloppy.
Georgia Tech's, they're going to make you do stuff that you don't want to do, which it makes me nervous because Krutwig, he can create his own shot when he gets the ball within the paint. So I'm nervous. And Loyola's got a really good sophomore guard who's been starting lately, even over the senior. And I just wonder, Jose Alvarado, who's a crafty senior, leads the NCAA in steals. I just wonder if they put too much pressure on the point guards, and maybe it makes it difficult to get it into Krutwig. So that's a potential way that Georgia Tech could win. But again, it's executing offense against that solid defense. But also throw in Georgia Tech. Sometimes they get into weird 1-3-1 zones. They get into 2-3. They'll just throw zones randomly and see what's working. So I don't know. I like Georgia Tech. They're creative. They're also playing good basketball here. But I'm gonna go with you. We're gonna move Loyola here. I've been filling out Georgia. It's been 50-50 for me. It's the worst possible matchup for each team in the first round. I was so bummed when I saw that. I actually turned it off after I saw that. The rest doesn't matter.
We were talking all day about our teams are good. This could be fun. We could have some win a couple games, and then it's not only that we're 8-9 against each other, it's that then we have to go up against Illinois, so there's not even really a hope for the Sweet 16.
It's really getting the 8 and the 9 seeds, the kiss of death. That means the NCAA tournament doesn't respect you. They don't think you can make a run, so they put you up against the 1 right away. Whereas if Georgia Tech's the 2, or if Georgia Tech or Loyola is a 7, they're going to give Ohio State. That's going to be a more interesting avenue for them to kind of bust the bracket. So they both got the short end of the stick. But we got maybe 8 minutes left here. Should we just kind of rapid fire? Tennessee, Oregon State. I'm going Tennessee.
Yeah, I like Tennessee here as well.
We're not going to bet against Oklahoma State and Liberty, are we?
We're not, but there's a case to be made for Liberty. I won't make it.
Where do they rank on their majigger here? Let's see. Well, they're not on the deserve the better seed. Where's
No,
Liberty?
they're not. They actually have better offensive adjusted efficiency scores than Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State kind of just got, I don't want to say they lucked into some wins at the end, but they lucked into some wins at the end of the year. But that said, they have the best player in the tournament, so he's going to win them at least a game against Liberty. So
I'm missing where Liberty scored. Oh, there we go, 92.3.
not great, yeah.
Oklahoma State's kind of low too. They're just below BYU, but I'm gonna give.
We'll go OK State.
I'm gonna give Kate Cunningham the benefit of the doubt. I don't mind taking Tennessee to get past Oklahoma State, but Syracuse, San Diego State. I'm taking San Diego State. I'm not buying the Syracuse hype here.
Neither am I. I'm not either.
And I like West Virginia quite a bit. I think West Virginia is going to be moving past. Unless you like Morehead State, I don't know. What do you got?
No, I definitely like West Virginia. It's the 6 versus 3 that I'm more interested in. I like these 6 seeds this year. I don't know why. I'm a big fan.
6 seeds are juicy. And then I'm going to move Clemson. Rutgers doesn't excite me.
Ooh.
You like Rutgers?
I got numbers for Rutgers, baby.
What do you got?
I got numbers. Okay. Adjusted offense, Clemson 99, Rutgers 75. Adjusted defense, Clemson 20, Rutgers 18. They're just a better put together team. Here's the thing. This is going to be the ultimate rock fight.
Right.
Neither team is good at scoring. Both teams are good on defense. So it's who can scrape together the better scoring effort, who brings that more energy, and who is more, like, I want to say who's been tested more, and that's Rutgers.
Big Ten, ACC. That makes sense. I'll go Big Ten here.
But I don't see neither team's getting past Houston. Houston's my sleeper tournament favorite.
So we'll move Houston right away. Any quick thoughts on San Diego State versus West Virginia? That's going to be a fun game to watch.
I think it's going to be a really fun game, and it's another one of those things where it's good defense from San Diego State against good offense from West Virginia. And I don't have a great lean either way. So if you're feeling one way or the other, I mean, I just think San Diego's defense is very quality. And if West Virginia, I have to dive into the matchup more. I mean, my brackets are about half filled out.
Well, either way, we both like Houston to move. So I'm just going to go with West Virginia here. And then I like Tennessee quite a bit over Oklahoma State here.
Yeah, I like Tennessee. When I was looking at I'm like, people were like, I'm hearing a lot of people not taking Tennessee in the first round matchup, and I just didn't see anything there. And then I look at OK State, and I think, well, the data's not on their side. Tennessee looks pretty good. I mean, I like Tennessee over OK State.
Okay, so we'll get some upset potential there. Are you taking Loyola over Illinois?
Man.
That'd be a good game for just the state of Chicago in general.
I mean, that's why they did it. You know, they put the 2 Illinois teams against each other. Assuming if Loyola can win, it's like, oh, there's that cool matchup. But, like, I'm upset, man. Because, like, you take Loyola versus, like, West Virginia, I'm taking Loyola all day. It's stupid. Illinois, man, they're so good. They got some of the best players in the country. They're playing really good basketball right now. It would take just a masterclass coaching effort by Porter to pull it off, and I don't think it happens. So I'm taking the 1-2.
I just skipped Illinois up to Houston. So now we're looking at our final picks. We got maybe 4 or 5 minutes here. We'll go back up to the top. Gonzaga over USC, no problem. We're taking Zaga.
Sure. What do you think this Big Ten matchup?
Ohio State. These teams, they split earlier this year. Win-loss against each other this year. This will be in Indianapolis, of course. Purdue, maybe feeling a little more comfortable in Indy. I don't know.
Hometown favorites.
I'm feeling risky. I'm not a big Ohio State guy. We'll do some fun here with Purdue.
Yeah, I like that.
4 seed in there. Are we gonna move Houston past Illinois, or would you rather talk Florida State Bama real quick?
Well, Florida State Bama. I mean, you seem really sold on Bama, so.
I watched their games in the tournament, and their athleticism is super fun. That's one of the more teams that I wish I watched more of down the stretch here. But I don't know.
That's gonna be a high-scoring game. That'll be a fun one. That'll be a fun one.
I'm thinking the SEC basketball might be a really good conference going forward. It just seems like they've really been focusing on getting recruits lately. And then Illinois, Houston. Are you taking Houston here?
So I'm either taking. I mean, here's kind of how I'm building my brackets. If I'm not taking Zaga to win, which I think, if you're building your bracket, you have to be contrarian if you're in a big pool. If you're in a small pool with your friends, only 10, 20 people, go ahead, take Gonzaga if you think they're going to win, which the majority is. But like, their expected win percentage is around 25%. And in a big pool, they're probably going to get closer to like 40% taken at the championship. So then you have to compete with the rest of those people and think the rest of your bracket's going to be better.
You got to get a little funky.
If you go Illinois, I think Illinois-Houston is the best combination of 1-2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this game. I hope we get to see Houston, Illinois, because it's going to be super fun. Both teams are great on defense. Both teams are great on offense. Man, I mean, you got to. I have like 4 or 5 brackets, and it's like Illinois or Houston, and then I have Illinois, Houston winning the whole thing.
Okay. My gut says Illinois. My gut says Illinois.
Big Ten's been really good, and I mean, AO.
Houston makes it that far. It's still pretty impressive for their season, but just the couple games that I've watched this year of Illinois, I'm going to go with those studs in a big game here. So we're looking at a final. We got another Big Ten, Purdue, Illinois, and we're just gonna move Gonzaga past Alabama. I like Alabama. That could be a tough fight here. Are we doing Gonzaga versus Illinois?
That's
what it is.
I mean, yeah, it's the top 2 teams, in my opinion, the top 2 teams in the country. And you never know what's going to happen this year. I mean,
we'll do a 69 to 67 here for the picks. And I
yep.
think everything picked here. You mentioned Gonzaga, Illinois, Houston. 1 or 2 more teams that you think could maybe somehow make a run?
Ohio State's got a good case. We saw how good they played in the Big Ten tournament, and I mean, that's the recipe. Other teams that I like, let's go maybe like more under the radar. This USC team, man, I really like. If they can somehow pull the upset off on Zaga, I think there's potential. 6th seed, I mean, doesn't happen often. Those are 2 teams that I'm pretty excited to watch.
I'm going to say keep an eye on Alabama. I think their path is probably one of the easier 2-seed paths. So it wouldn't surprise me if Alabama, again, they're going to get Gonzaga at some point if they get that far, but I really like Alabama. At the top of the bracket, Arkansas is interesting too. I don't know why, but I find myself pulled to them. You said USC. I like USC as well, and I guess we're into Purdue right now. So
I have Arkansas. A decent amount of my brackets have Arkansas coming out. The South and the East, I can't really feel comfortable with either of those brackets. The West and the Midwest make a lot more sense to me. But man, the South and East are brackets are going to be made and busted.
So I have this fantasy because I remember Gonzaga Baylor. That game got canceled for COVID. It was supposed to happen. Both teams were undefeated at the time. I have a hunch if there's going to be 1 seeds, Gonzaga Illinois, Gonzaga Baylor. Those would be the 2 teams. And Baylor's just a team that they just shoot so well. If their offense is hot, if they just get some kind of good energy and vibe going, they're a team that could just be blowing teams out by 20 for the first 3 or 4 games. So Baylor, fun team to keep an eye on at the top. But it's Gonzaga. And I think what's cool about it is I don't think there's been a time where there's been a heavy favorite for this tournament that it's not a Duke or North Carolina. It's Gonzaga. People we want Gonzaga to win, right?
Right. We want the Gonzaga. We want the mid-conference champion. I mean, the last time we had an undefeated team, 2015 Kentucky. Who took them on, man? Wisconsin in the Elite Eight.
So I don't know. That's what we did. I want to. We can let you get going. It's a little after 7. I think that's past your time. But this was fun. Thank you for hanging out, Jesse. We'll. I don't know. We gotta talk some football soon, man. We gotta.
Yeah, we gotta get some football talk going, don't we?
We gotta probably talk some rookies pretty soon. But I feel like I don't know. It's a weird part of the season with just the pro days and stuff being held like on television now. I don't know. There's a lot of information out there. So
yeah. Did you see that wide receiver from Illinois? 46.5-inch broad. No, what was it? 46.5-inch broad jump? I don't know what the hell they call it. He broke the record. He would have set a combine record.
Matter baby.
Yes.
Yep. So I haven't watched maybe a highlight or two of his, but the record-breaking 46.5-inch vert, that's something that translates.
Yeah. The verticals definitely. I mean, that's a weapon right there.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on him. I'll have to dive and watch. I gotta watch some game tape.
What's the hand size? Give me some hand size on that guy.
So I just watched a couple highlights, but
all right, dude.
We're gonna get out of here. Watching. We'll see
next Saturday. Do a little football.
I'm out of town next Saturday.
All right,
but we'll sync up. We'll get something done.
Yeah.
The actual draft.
For sure, my dude. We're almost a month out.
It's going to roll quickly because now you got the speed boost of NCAA tournament. You got free agency. We're kind of through the balls of February, and then everything kind of brightens up.
Love it.
I don't know, but we'll let you get going, man. Thank you. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Peace out.
Peace.